Ayes have it. Been approved.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, have everybody had time to look at the closed session minutes for December the 1st?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the December 1st, 2021 closed session meeting minutes?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I also have closed, I have the open work session for December the 1st. Minutes, has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the December 1st, 2021 open work session meeting minutes?
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carry. Okay, moving on, board involvement. Start, Helen? You wanna
Sure.
start?
Well, I had a great time. I went to Queen Anne's County High School to participate with the Honors Arts Group to make wreaths that they were putting up at the Hope Warehouse in Stevensville. The students were lovely and just engaging, and they were just so much fun and so talented and so complimentary of my pathetic little wreath. But so that was really nice. And then still wreath related, as I did go to the Wreaths Across America, where Mattapique Elementary and Middle School came out. And oh my goodness, I had been by myself, but I was just so proud of all those students. They were just, oh my gosh, you know, just lining and waving the flags, and some had really big flags, and the 18, it was so touching and so educational. And I'm sure, you know, they watch that little video before they go out. So very neat experience, I think, for everybody. But I was really grateful that the principals invited me. So thank you very much.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a good holiday and Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to getting in school, right? Without,
Yes.
all right,
Snow.
and without snow, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. So welcome back. I'm glad to be back.
Well, I was at a couple of schools this December with Dr. Salins when she was reading some books on elementary school kids. And I must say, she's got a teacher in her. Very passionate, very interesting. I understand the book now and everything, but we had a good time, and I appreciate you attending those schools. I think that does a lot for the morale of the kids. Also, on the 17th of December, I was invited to attend a round table just to listen as far as discussion of our budget workshop, along with Phil Dumanel, one of our county commissioners. Very interesting. The way Dr. Salins did the presentation, and then listened to the staff, principals, and different people. When you went around this way, everybody had ideas, but when you came back the other way, there was some camaraderie, and people actually saw what other people needed. So it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough budget, like it is every year. But you know, we're marching ahead on that. That's what I.
So I attended the Queen Anne's County Retired School Personnel Association luncheon on Tuesday, December 14th at Prospect Bay with Dr. Salins and Ms. Hudak. It was a lovely event. It was so nice to see some familiar, I won't say old faces, some retired faces, and felt very sad for those that are no longer with us. So God bless them. But we had a beautiful time, a nice lunch, and thank you for Prospect Bay for hosting that. I also would like to thank the county commissioners for the vote the 2 meetings ago to give the stipend to all of the staff at Queen Anne's County CPS. We've had several letters. I'm sure that they have too, thanking them for it. But I think from the board, we all really appreciate that they took the time to do that, and God bless. And it was very, very needed for everyone. So thank you very much.
Okay.
So trying to catch up a little bit, as Ms. Bennett noted, we have some very talented students in our county. I attended the Settlersville Middle School Band and Chorus concert, which was excellent. The Queen Anne's County Dance concert, which was the first I'd ever been to, even having a daughter who graduated from there. It was really interesting, saw a lot of new stuff that was just amazing. And then the Kent Island High School had Student of the Month. That was amazing to just noticed why teachers were selecting students to be the student of the month. The biggest factor was they made the teachers' lives easier, and they helped out their fellow students, and that was the reason why a lot of them got chosen. It was really interesting to see, and I had a good time visiting with all of those. So,
Awesome.
Dr. Salins?
Yes, well, December was a very busy month, and it's one of my favorites because I do get to see our students who perform at various levels, and so kudos to Michael Bell and all of his efforts with all of his teams to be able to let our students just shine and show us their talents that they have. So I was able to be out there with many of you, as well as enjoy some of the things that Mr. Bell kind of pushed out that maybe were more virtual in nature. And we're highlighting. I got to read every school but one at this point, so that was very exciting. Love being in the classroom. Certainly is a passion for me. And I had one more thing, and now my mind is just gone. I had one more thing. Oh, we'll come.
Okay,
We'll move on.
if you come back.
It'll come back to me.
Okay, Assistant Superintendent report. Amy Hudock is not here. Would you like to stop up?
Yep, Ms. Powers is going to
Power.
step order.
Good evening, President Smith, board members, executive team. Amy is not here today, so I am going to present the spotlight.
It's okay. It's in the spotlight, so there you go.
I know, right?
Okay, December spotlights. First thing we'll do is elementary school. As you can see, Bayside Elementary celebrated their December PBIS event. Students got to go scooter sledding, which looks fun, and had a hot chocolate snack if they purchased the event with their Bayside bucks. Centerville Elementary, they had some great artists over there, it looks like. The blended pre-K students participate in their service learning by collecting donations for the local animal shelter. And students also gave kindness smiles away as part of the December's kindness lesson. Church Hill Elementary, two excited young ladies there. Learning and fun at the same time is always a win. Church Hill Elementary students participated in a STEM challenge in Learning Lab led by Mr. Moore. Using gumdrops and toothpicks, students created structures. They were challenged with seeing how high their designs could be. Very cute. Braysonville Elementary. On December 14th, GES Visa students sang 9 holiday songs to the retired Queen Anne's County Public School teachers at their annual holiday party at Prospect Bay Country Club.
It was adorable.
I heard from a couple
It was
of...
adorable.
And we sang with them, by the way.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Did a sing
I should have
along
added that
together.
in, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
It's okay.
I did speak with a couple of students, and they had so much fun.
I mean, they outdid us by sure, but.
Some of us don't want to be remembered.
Kennard Elementary. Maryland Humanities visited Kennard Elementary School on December 16th to speak to the 4th graders about how to approach their upcoming research project for social studies. Kennard students will be picking one famous Marylander from the 1600s up to the 1860s to be represented on the next state quarter. This project is going in conjunction with Maryland History Day this upcoming spring. Ken Island Elementary, lots of fun, and looks like they had some Spirit Week as well. The pronouns and noun mittens on the left, gingerbread houses being made, and then kindergarten smiles. So cute. Mattapique Elementary, once again, supported the annual Wreaths Across America pass-through to Arlington National Cemetery. I know that's a very moving day, and many people participated in that. Sudlersville Elementary, one more way to get outside and get some exercise. They've been having Wellness Wednesdays each week during the month of December. On Wednesdays, students and staff wear their workout gear and make healthy physical, mental, and social choices. The teachers incorporate mindful breathing techniques, yoga poses, and extra cardio into their lesson plans. This is a lifting morale and getting us into shape at SES. Now on to middle schools. Centerville Middle, Achieve Success Tutoring Program. Centerville Middle School students have been invited to participate in the after-school Achieve Success program. They're excited to be able to offer this opportunity for students to work with CMS tutors to strengthen their academic skills. The Achieve Success program occurs every Wednesday from 3:30 to 4:30. Students have an opportunity to be a part of a small group of students who receive individualized support on all subjects by providing re-explanation of challenging concepts, assistance with skills practice, and/or research-based intervention program. We highly recommend that students continue to take advantage of this academic opportunity. Mattapique Middle, they too participated in the Reads Across America. You can see a lot of them properly wearing their masks too, which is nice, even though it's outside. Stevensville Middle School, the Stevensville Middle School Band marched in the Centerville Christmas Parade on December 3rd. Sudlersville Middle, they had lots going on. In December, the Sudlersville Middle School Performing Arts Program was on showcase. On December 3rd, the band marched in the annual Centerville Holiday Parade. On the 13th, they held their winter concert in the Queen Anne's County High School auditorium. During the concert, there were performances by the beginning band, the concert band, the chorus, and for the first time, the strings ensemble. A great time was had by all. A lot of very talented students. And finally, onto the high schools. Kent Island High School, lots of talent there as well. Amazing dance, chorus, band, and ugly sweater contest. Always very important for December. And Queen Anne's County High School, the FBLA sponsored canned food drive. 2,694 items donated by staff and students. There was so much food that they had to go from 2 pantries to 5 pantries, all the way from Sudlersville up to Graysonville. This is the largest amount of pantries we have stocked since 10 years ago.
Wow.
Great job. And last but not least, the superintendent holiday card winner.
This was the one I forgot. So I was like, my old brain, but there you go.
So Dr. Salins, if you'd like to elaborate, I know.
Yeah, it was just really exciting. So under the direction of Michael Bell, he did a contest that out to the teachers, and whoever wanted to participate could. It wasn't mandatory, and many students chose to participate. And so then they, brought me all this artwork that was beautiful and talking about painful decision making. This was painful decision making 101. But you can see the artwork on the right-hand side. I got to talk to the teacher as well to learn about what they were doing, which was kind of depth perception. They're creating depth and the use of their color schemes by blending colors together. And it was just exciting. It was so much fun. And her parents were so gracious, and her little brother was there, and it was just wonderful. And it's actually on the front page of the paper. So kudos.
And there's also a video on the website, I believe.
Yes.
Of you presenting.
Yes.
And it's amazing that our work was done by a 3rd grader.
Yes.
Great job.
I mean, it's just amazing. As I said, it was a very difficult decision, but my goodness, she's quite talented, and I hope she continues to pursue that through her educational career.
Absolutely. And that's all I have for you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Due to the inclement weather, our school board members are not here this evening. They'll be back with us on March meeting. Citizen participation, do we have anybody? Okay, we have nobody signed up for citizens participation. Okay, our next one will be informational items. We'll start off with our COVID-19 update.
Yeah, so board members, I normally would be bringing an update to you from our state numbers on positivity rates, and 2 things I'd like to elaborate on that. One, the state actually was hacked, for lack of better words, and their data was compromised on their website, and they have not gotten their website back up and running, and this has been quite some time now, so we don't have that state level data. And 2, we're really kind of moving away from that positivity rate and really looking at other indicators. We've learned a lot through this pandemic. I mean, we're coming up on 2 years, and we've learned some very effective strategies for mitigation. We've learned how to isolate and quarantine properly, and we've continuously modified that. And if that's anything that we've learned, is that during this pandemic, we have to continuously be reevaluating to making sure that we're meeting the needs of our students and keeping our staff and students certainly safe at the same time. So that's kind of a different update. I don't necessarily have numbers for you right now, although we are still tracking it locally, positivity rates within the schools, and I am meeting with Dr. Ciatola on a regular basis to discuss individual schools, and that's what I kind of would like to bring to the forefront this evening, is that we really are looking at individual school positivity rate as it relates to staffing and students, and making those determining factors of if there was an opportunity where we would have to shut down because we weren't able to staff a building appropriately to keep our students and staff safe. I did want to take note to Mr. Chaudhary, who is our state superintendent, for face coverings. This was brought to your attention as the state board did meet to put into emergency legislation to create the masking mandate that we're under right now. That mandate would be up on February 25th, so the state met to petition for another emergency legislative mandate. They actually met today and passed that, and so I just kind of wanted to bring to your attention the executive summary in your document. And as opposed to having a blanket statement of masking or not masking, they're basically saying we're going to provide to you some quote unquote off ramps so that if you meet certain criteria, then the superintendent can, in collaboration obviously with the board and the health department, make the decision to remove the masking mandate until such time that it wouldn't meet that criteria anymore where you'd have to remask. Right now we don't meet that criteria, so we don't really need to kind of entertain and walk through the process of what would it look like to kind of unmask. But the ways that you can off-ramp, there's 3 different ways. They're clearly articulated. I don't want to kind of summarize them too much to a point where, because I think you really need to digest them, and they are on there for the public, so if the public has access, they can read them. But you'll see the 3 scenarios, at least 80% of the population of the county. It also talks about or 80% of vaccinations for your students and staff members, and those are all documented through your health department and such. But if you meet certain criteria, or 14 days consecutive of moderate or low transmission rate of cases. So those are all things that we could talk about, but we're not there right now. So as soon, and when we get there, which I'm very hopeful we will get there, I certainly will be meeting and briefing with the board to talk about if there's an opportunity to remove masking, that would be the time that I would bring it to your attention. But right now, we all know that we're in the middle of a spike and that we're not going to be entertaining removing the mask mandate at this time. So.
And this is 601 on our agenda, so anybody in the public that wants to look at this, read it, can review it and see that. You know, everything's in detail of what's been proposed by the state superintendent of schools.
Correct. And as I said, the legislation did meet and voted today, and so I'm quite certain that we'll be seeing something tomorrow formally that comes out to formalize these recommendations basically from the State Board of Education. But this certainly provides background information and the purpose and everything.
And the other one will be posted tomorrow when whatever the state mandates can go on the state board and see that everything.
Yes, whatever comes down from the state, Ms. Power Waters will take the opportunity to make sure that it's published.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add, I know I've already had mentioned it, I have a real concern about the disparity between how we treat vaccinated and unvaccinated. That's just me. But I did read a statement by Dr. Robert Redfield, who used to be a CDC director, and he's now a senior advisor for Governor Hogan, that we have 32% of our current COVID deaths over an 8-week period in the fall were fully vaccinated. And they anticipate seeing more of the COVID people who are vaccinated, those deaths rising as more people get vaccinated. So, you know, I love that we're looking at other factors because, you know, Omicron is just, I mean, it's just out there. I don't know of anyone who's not been sick over the holidays, it seems like. So, you know, just to keep in mind that as we move forward, to not have that inequity, you know, we have to pay attention to this vaccination versus non-vaccinated, because 32%, I mean, that's a full third deaths are fully vaccinated. That's a huge number.
And I'd just like to reiterate, you know, we need to keep our students in school. And I've had some emails from some people recently requesting why we would do this and that. I think Dr. Salins has a handle on this, and I think safety is a priority. We have staffing issues that would be a priority. But it also would be a school-by-school thing, I think, as you've mentioned before.
Absolutely.
We want to keep these students in school, learning, and we'll do what we can. If Dr. Salins finds it at a period, and I'm hearing now with the state of emergency, it could even be done by the local health officer.
Correct.
With the Governor Hogan doing the state of emergency, Dr. C could shut our schools down if he so desired. That's not the case. He's in contact with Dr. Salins at all times, and, we'd like to keep them open, but safety and concerns, and like Helen said, and the thing is a revolving door, and we're a completely different situation now than we were a year ago. We know a lot more about it, and we're reacting, I think, very appropriately, and I hope you all have confidence in what we're doing.
Thank you.
Anything on that?
No, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Our next thing is Advanced Placement Programs Policy 602, second reading. Mike?
Happy New Year, everyone.
Hey,
Hi. Happy New Year.
President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Michael Page. I'm a curriculum supervisor. I am here to present to you the Advanced Placement Programs Policy. This policy is up for second read. To my knowledge, and I touched base with Ms. Passon, who has been helping to go through the policy process, and she said there are no comments in regards to this policy at this point. And if you all have any comments, I would gladly take them, and I can give them to Ms. Passon, and we can review them for the final
I
and
think in
third
particular
action.
about the program, but I just had a quick question, because our next one is about the fund balance. I don't know if you're presenting, but just because I noticed on the background, it said that it was posted on the public school website for 30 days for public comment. It didn't say that on the background of this one. Did we also have this particular one up on the website for 30
They
days?
did, because
Okay,
there was no comment, so it was there, but
Okay.
we should, that's a good catch, though. We need to make sure that each one has that.
Board Docs has a link too where you can see where it's posted on our website too.
Well, because I had it in paper, I didn't look at it. but
Right,
I know we
sure.
said it on the next one, but we didn't say it on this one, so I wasn't sure if we had, I'm assuming we're posting them all.
Yes.
Okay.
But we
Thank
certainly
you.
need to make that more clear.
Does any board members have any questions?
no,
Thank you.
Oh, I should have, yes, fund balance.
Okay, 603, fund balance, Jane Towers.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members. Tonight I bring before you for a second read the fund balance policy, policy number 305. A little background, this is a second read. It's been posted on the QACTV website for over 30 days. Basically, the purpose of this policy is to establish a target range for the general fund unassigned fund balance. And I'll take any, there's been no comments posted as of yet, as we said, so. Any questions on this?
I personally think it's long overdue, because when we have a $100 million budget, over $100 million, and things can come up, major things, and, I like the idea of being able to, we need a fund balance. We've used it in the past, different opinions on what for, but it's something I think, any prudent business, and we are a business, we're a company, has to have some kind of guidelines. I think this is great. I don't know what other members,
No, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Towers.
and you've had no comments from anybody?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Towers.
Matt Evans.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Matt Evans, Supervisor
New Year.
of Student Services. I got distracted now, I can't get this.
Scroll down to the bottom and it'll pop up.
it looks like he's sitting on the
No?
Just hit the tab that's already open. Comar, it says Comar.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I have two presentations for you tonight. The first one being the student enrollment report that was submitted to MSDE, as also known as the September 30th count. So the purpose is we want to just make you aware of that data and also look at the enrollment data, particularly with home instructed students in Queen Anne's County. Look at those data trends as well as gain an understanding of how enrollment data works, because there's a couple things in here. So here's a grid of our actual enrollment for the 21-22 school year, and you'll notice that there's columns of itinerant, pre-S and pre-K, and that's important because those students are actually not funded, so we pull them out of our account that we send to MSDE. So when you look at this fall enrollment here, it shows we actually gained some students. However, when we compare our enrollment data after pulling out our itinerant students in the 3-year-old programs and the 4-year-old programs, we're actually down about 47 students this school year. We do have it broken out by school and by year, the fall enrollment. The grid kind of gives a better picture. And you can see that we did have a significant increase in our 3-year-old programs, which is, we ended up pulling more of those students back out of the count. But you can see that certainly at Centerville Elementary, at Ken Island Elementary, and Sellersville Elementary, where those programs were expanded. Middle school enrollment, for the most part, 3 of the 4 middle schools have decreased. Their trend is decreasing in enrollment. Ramatted Peak Middle has remained more or less the same, and is currently on an increase. High school enrollment, really for the most part, has remained fairly steady, with actually a little bit of a decline at Ken Island High School and a slight increase at Queen Anne's County High School. Enrollment by ethnicity, you can see the majority of our students are white, although those numbers are decreasing. Black students and Asian remaining around the same, but we are seeing an increased trend in the multi-race students and Hispanic students. Home instruction data by year. Certainly this is really what has impacted us the past 2 years with COVID. You can see in the green that's last year, and we had a huge increase in students who transferred to home instruction. So that has decreased this year. However, you'll see that, our enrollment is still kind of down, and some of those students, and I'll have in the conclusion, we believe have moved to a private school. Looking at home instruction data by grade, the home instruction, transfers to home instruction decreased in all grade levels except for 3rd and 12th. But for the most part, by each grade, home instruction, students enrolled in home instruction is down. And again, so the conclusion is we're down 47 students as compared to last year. Really, this can be attributed to students that were in home instruction and ultimately went to a private school. They didn't all come back to us like we were hoping. So that's still an issue that we're addressing. And in general, we're down, as far as students enrolled in home instruction, they decreased by 163 students. Questions?
It looks like to me, and you just said it, our elementary and middle schools are down. Our high school is not.
Correct.
And I guess I can relate this to Dr. Salins. This keeps up, and all of a sudden, in high school, we start getting influx of students in September one year. What's our plan? When our schools are almost capacity at high school, but our details showing the lower grades aren't. But, we could have, I'm just scared we got a big influence of high school students some year. You feel that, or not a big problem?
I don't see that it's going to be that big. I don't think it'll be enough.
They're in private school and also they come back for their high school years.
Right, yeah, because of the credit.
And we had students leaving high school for private school and home instruction as well.
Yeah, because, private schools are good, got no problem with that, but, there's a bigger pool in public schools and different things are offered. I just wonder, especially in our county, because we're limited to how many high schools we have private. And I just, I don't know what we would do if we had extra 200 or 300 kids come to high school.
Yeah, I don't foresee that
You don't see
happening.
that?
No, I don't think any of the data, the long-term or projection data is showing that increase for our overall area. I do think that we've had more students kind of ebb and flow for lack, some that leaving that typically would and some that are coming in. My bigger concern is that we thought we were going to recuperate this year and we didn't. Now we're going on 2 years of, our decrease in enrollment. And my concern is that you got 2 years where then that becomes a way of life for some, and they've, chosen and made it work for their family. And so if we're able to get out of the pandemic next year and we come back to a completely normal situation, I don't think we're going to recuperate that many students, because I think some of them have just chosen that path and they're comfortable and they're doing well where they are. And so, for their family, that's working, and that's my concern. I don't know that it's going to impact us, especially at the high school level as it relates to overall enrollment increases.
I mean, enrollment's, is a concern, but if the parents and students are doing good somewhere else.
Right,
That's
exactly.
great. I'm glad they
Yep.
are, and that's their
Absolutely.
choice, and that's good. I just concerned that, kids, end of August, September, you have enrollment,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that, if that's not a concern, then.
And we did put in the virtual option this year. We were a little slow moving, trying to get our understanding of it. And we weren't 100% by any stretch. We had some growing pains, just like I think many other districts did. I think we'll be on a more solid foot next year as we roll into that virtual instruction. We may capture some more students in that realm that works for them. But I still don't think it'll be significant enough to show an increase overall of this loss of 163 kids.
Agreed.
So can I ask a question? Our student capacity at Queen Anne's County High School is 1,200?
Yes.
And as I remember, Ken Island was built for 1,100. And then we built on the 9th grade annex, and that gave us an alleviation of 300.
Yes.
So your concerns are about having an overcrowding at either school. If you look at the numbers, there's only like 900 coming in to Queen Anne and about 800 going into Ken Island. So we have plenty of room.
I understand that. What my concern was, when these students are going to private schools and other homeschooling at the younger years, when they get into the senior year, the high school, that's when they might want to come back to a high school setting.
Well, even with these numbers, I mean,
Well, these numbers, but I was thinking if it's not an issue, it's not an issue. That's what's concerned me, that they might come back at a later date. That's
I
all.
wonder if they're still going to come back, just because a lot of them, there are less opportunities, I think, in the private sector, private schools for high school.
Sports,
sure.
But a lot of them move it because of sports. And if sports is interrupted like it's been the last 2 years, that may absolutely negatively affect.
Yeah.
them
But we
coming to the high
do,
schools.
projections out even 10 years out, and we look at everything within our community as it relates to growth overall. And there's certain formulas and calculations, and I won't at all try to be an expert at that, but we have a pretty good, I think, idea of how the community is going to grow and what parts of our community are going to grow. So I think we're pretty steady in those projections, or pretty flat, I should say. We don't have a whole lot of growth. So,
Well, not with all the 55 and older coming into Ken Island. There's not going to be a big influx of Ken Island, any of the schools down our
Well,
way.
the only thing is, when you have a 55 and over community, Four Seasons themselves did a presentation and said 80% of the people who bought in Four Seasons already lived in the county, which means they sold their family homes
Yes.
to move into the 55 and over community, which means all those family homes are now open for new families with children. So that's a whole nother issue, but they are impacting all of those, the things that they didn't help pay for. And so we still going to have plenty, not plenty, but opportunity to have new families move in.
Have growth in our population, school population.
we continue to look at it.
And it makes, I think, Jane, you said earlier when you were talking about numbers with the state, because it's on and you're talking from the funding side, every county's facing this issue as far as decreasing enrollment. It's not Queen Anne's County facing this decline, it's every county in the state, except you said one, maybe it's not, but every one is pretty much doing it.
Correct, and they've been seeing it over 2 years as well.
Who's not? Curiosity.
I want to say Carol, but I'd have to look into that. Maybe Matt might know, but.
But when you got 22.
No, I don't know. I thought it was every district myself, but.
Well, 22 out of 23 is almost every. So, I mean, even if you pick out one, it's still, it's not just Queen Anne's County. So I don't want anybody to think that we're losing. I mean, it's just what's going on with the world today and the state. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. I believe I'm still up for the next one.
You're on for another one.
Okay. This presentation is regarding physical aggression data. As you know, there have been an increase in referrals for fighting and physical attack. So the purpose of this, we want to review this data, and what we're doing is comparing the fall of 2019 to this fall in the months from August through November. And it is disaggregated by ethnicity and repeat offenders. So looking at the fall of 2019, there were 11 referrals for physical aggression. And just for clarification, that those referrals are written for fighting or for physical attack, which could be on a student or a staff member. Then you look at fall 2021, this past fall, 50 referrals, so a very significant increase. And I think we all kind of knew, even before we pulled this data, that it's probably what we were going to see. There were 0 repeat offenders in fall of 2019 and 3 repeat offenders this fall in 3 different schools. Here's the breakdown by ethnicity. If the ethnicity is not listed, then they were not, then there was no referrals written for that subgroup in either 2019 or 2021, August through November. I pulled this because I know I was trying to find some national data on fighting, and that's just not out there right now. The National Association for School Resource Officers, they get things like guns on campus, stuff like that, but the lesser, that's just not out yet. So I did pull this because it is something that, I mean, we know qualitatively, and certainly we see it in the news, but just in general, teachers and school administrators are saying they're seeing a rise in everything from the minor misbehaviors to fighting in the hallways. Mitigation strategies. So we do adhere to our student discipline regulation, and fighting and physical attack can be our lowest, a level 1, all the way up to a level 5 response. A level 5 response is police notification. It is removal from school. The most a principal can do is suspend for 10 days, and if further action is warranted, then it would be referred to the superintendent. Law enforcement, the partnership with the sheriff's office is important and very beneficial. You know, we really appreciate that partnership because they are there when they're needed and when requested. Also, we use mediation and restorative services. And this does not replace a disciplinary consequence. And certainly when students come back, it's important to try and address that conflict and you know, and try and prevent and be proactive so that, you know, these fights don't continue to happen. Certainly we use our school counseling offices, other student services personnel, school-based counseling through external mental health providers, as well as just referrals for mental health counseling outside of school.
And I did have one quick question. On the on slide 6 where it references the student discipline regulation.
Yes.
I was looking at that, and on one of the pages, let me find it, on page 22, it looks like the one on tobacco, there's just some strikeouts and then stuff in bold. Are we in the process of changing this regulation, or?
No, we did recently update it for the fact that we had to include a disciplinary piece for refusal to wear a mask when required to do so. But no, there should not.
Well, it's still, well, like I said, I opened it up and looked at it, and just that page, it had the strikeout still, so it just could be needed a
Yeah,
cleanup
so
on that.
I'll definitely take a look at that, because right now, we're not reviewing or changing anything with tobacco.
Okay, well, thanks.
So Matt, it's a pretty significant increase between 2019 and 2021. Probably the natural inclination is to blame it on COVID and being out of school, you know, the stresses from that. Any indicators why? I mean, is that the case, that they've been out of school, or is it something else that's going on?
Yes, I think it's, well, certainly I think we found even down to the kindergarten level where, and I talk with seasoned teachers, I think students really are learning how to interact with each other again, and just not being in the school building and interacting face to face, not on a screen. It's for some of them, it's been difficult, and a difficult transition, and in many cases, I think we are kind of reteaching students how to appropriately interact with each other.
Do we have more information on what grade levels the students are in?
Yes, I do have that data. So the majority of the We're secondary by far.
Okay. High school,
Yeah, middle through highs.
okay.
And were they more on the fives, or were they down in the ones as far as the level?
So I would say middle school, we're more down 2 and 3. High school, there was,
More aggressive?
yes, more aggressive.
And for high school students, just because I've heard a lot of conversations, are we looking at upper level classmates or low? I mean, so the ones that seem, that I'm hearing that are having the biggest issues are, and I don't want to blast anybody, but 9th and 10th graders as opposed to 11th and 12th graders.
I would say that's correct, yes.
Is there anything that we can think about that would help that group? Because they've missed 2 years being in person and acting with other people and being able to integrate and interact with other folks. Is there something that we can do to help that group?
Yeah, so we are partnering with community mediation Upper Shore, and really what our goal is there is to one, be proactive so that staff are understanding how, when they can recognize things, maybe prevent it, be proactive with a restorative circle or something of that nature, but also just the mediation services alone can help if we know there's a conflict to try and have that mediated prior to. And even when school staff this year have tried to mediate prior to a fight, sometimes the fight still happens. So there's, yes, it's been a tough learning curve, but yes, we absolutely are actively looking at how to be proactive and assist those students.
Thank you.
It's a matter of learning the socialization skills and learning how to have interpersonal communication with each other, rather than, like you said, on a monitor.
Right. And also social and emotional learning is we have zones of regulation K through 8 in our learning collaborative at the high school level. So yes, we're working on it, but it was a challenging opening of the year. Student behaviors, I think, just in general, them not used to being in the buildings.
And the zones of regulation, if you're not familiar with that, that's really a way to check in with students to kind of see where they are. Because really you can't teach a student if they're somewhere, they're not ready to receive that learning. And it also goes with conscious discipline, which is kind of for our littles, the conscious discipline kind of blossoms into that zones of regulation. So I think that's been positive, and we certainly continue that professional development for staff so that they can kind of really be more in tune to how students are coming in. I mean, you can kind of tell sometimes if somebody comes in and they're distracted.
Right.
And so how we trying to provide professional development on, what do you do in that situation? How can you address that distraction so that you can be more proactive? But we do, if you think about it, we have, basically 7th graders who didn't get an experience. And 7th grade is really that year that students very much mature through the 7th grade year, have a kind of an ebb and flow almost of, those elementary behaviors to those secondary behaviors. And, as they move into their 8th grade year, they have more of a strong footing and foundation to get ready for high school. Well, unfortunately, our 9th graders missed that opportunity. Yep. So I think that's what we're struggling with right now. I mean, I think that's where, the aggressive behaviors are coming to out of some frustrations, I think, among our students who are, kind of lagged or have a loss of knowledge and how to address certain skills. And so, yeah, I mean, kudos to Matt and his team. And, we've really looked at our ESSER funds. We've expanded to address the social, emotional well-being of students by putting additional staff members in, hiring social workers, and help me with the titles of some of them, Matt, because some of those titles are new.
Mental health social worker. So we currently have one in the northern part that is running groups at 2 different middle schools for groups depending on what the need is at the school.
Yeah, and I mean, all of us have been, everybody, I think, has not escaped some kind of connection to COVID.
Right.
And some of our students and staff members for that matter, but we're talking specifically students, some of them more so than others. And so trying to work through those, they didn't have a chance and an opportunity. We're a skip to, we have this, most of us have the skill set as adults to address how to grieve something or how to work through some frustrations. And sometimes our students don't have those skills, and that's what we need to do is provide them with those, equip them with the skills so that they can address the concerns
or being scared, or, just all of those feelings that the unknown that COVID has brought for our students. And so we're going to continue to work on that. I know Mr. Evans is also investigating, trying to bring some guest speakers in for some of our secondary student populations to share with them about, social media. That has a lot to do with a lot of the aggressive behaviors that we're seeing in schools, the bullying, and just the banter that leads to aggressive behaviors. So bringing in and trying to be combative, or trying to build awareness, I should say, to combat that mentality, that social media is a platform that you should go to in that nature. I mean, I'm sure there's positive things about social media. Obviously, when we look and recognize the talents of our students, those are great things that we can use. But there's a lot of times for our student body that it's used inappropriately. And so really taking the time to try to educate, build skill level around social media, I think that's really what direction we're heading in. And it's just difficult. It's been challenging. It's been very challenging.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. Our ninth graders are middle schoolers. I mean, and some of our middle schoolers are elementary school. They've been out of school for 2 years. So besides a learning gap, there's a social gap. I think that we we realize it, but it's there. And these ninth graders, they were seventh graders when they last came back to school.
And that's exactly what I hear from the high school council.
And I think that's just an amazing thing. Also, I think us as leaders, all up and down the scale, parents and everybody, authority, the respect for authority. And I think, I'm not going to name one thing, but I think people have to understand, kids are sponges. They see this. And if they hear somebody around the dinner table or somebody saying, well, you don't need to do that or you don't have to do that, I understand that. That's a parent's decision. But when you're in a society of everybody going to school, we all have to work together.
That's right.
And I think it's COVID, as far as the effects of medical thing, is one thing. We gotta be above it.
Yeah. And I will say that we're seeing aggressive behaviors that are littles. It's just not to a level like this, of fighting and things like that. But we are seeing some aggressive behaviors at that level. And again, you have a first grader who really may or may not have had part of a pre-K experience. You have a second grader who, really, they don't have the foundational skills that you put them in a frustrational, way. So we are seeing them at the elementary level, just in a different way.
Apparently they're seeing it at the college level too. Maybe not the aggression, but the social skills and that kind of thing. So professors that I've spoken with have related that.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, really, it does, right?
The number of attempted suicides also are up in college level.
Yeah, it's as I said, so it's not just looking at this one particular data set. It's really looking at all the pieces that get us there, and how do we try to kind of put a lot of supports in place, not just one thing, not just the counselors, not just the mediation, not just adding social workers. I think we just really need to put every effort into it to kind of support, and what I always call wraparound. So put those wraparound services on our students.
Right.
So again, just, kudos again to your team and Dr. Salins for you guys being on this, because it's, trying to keep the schools open is huge, because we're seeing consequences of, so hats off. So recognizing it, identifying it, and trying to come up with some immediate.
Right, and we're thankful for the ESSER funds that give us the ability to, look at programming, look at professional development, look at staffing. And so we're thankful that those funds are there. And for that matter, just supporting, when we come here for things and being supportive, the commissioners being supportive. And just like Mr. Smith said, all of us have to work together because we're all here for the same reason, hence our new hence our new byline, which is where our future begins, which is our students. We're all here for the same reason, so. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. Michael Page, you're up again.
Hello again.
How you doing?
So the next item I have is a informational item. This informational item is ordered to align our AP courses with the state COMAR expectations. The curriculum instruction is adjusting the structure of several of our AP courses to meet the requirements of credits received by students. This informational item is to inform the board the courses are not being changed but are being structured to fit within the semester setting in Queen Anne's County. The second piece to this is that the adjustment to provide the ESOL classes meets the state requirement to provide a language acquisition class to identify the EL students at the high school level. This informational item is to inform the board that the courses are not being changed but are being structured to fit a 4-year program for students who have been identified all 4 years. The courses that are being changed are listed within the statement, and just so that the board knows, there is really no financial impact in regards to these changes. It's just kind of structuring it within the semester. And so we just bring this to your information so that you guys are aware of some of the changes that we're creating.
I have a quick question. On the yellow sheets, do they remain a part of the official record? Do they go in with the regulations and all that?
They're not attached to the regulation, but they're forever in here, and you have access, the public has access to them.
Only because I guess I had to reread that when I was reading the purpose, the first line of the second paragraph, it was I was having a hard time. I think, understand what was being said, and then after reading it a few more times, I'm just wondering if we could, not that it's a big deal, but to just rework that sentence. It kind of
So the adjustment to provide 4 ESOL classes?
meets the state requirements to provide a language acquisition class to identified EL students at the high school level. It just doesn't, it's not a big deal. It just doesn't, the sentence doesn't seem to flow. Does that make sense?
I think it's because people aren't used to using the terms EL and ESOL in a context of a sentence, and because we're educators, to us it makes sense, and I apologize for that. You know what I mean? We tend to use terms. If we spelled out ESOL and EL, I bet to you it would make a lot more sense.
All right.
I'm sorry, and we can do that. We can certainly add that.
Fine.
But I think that's why for us and Michelle's here, she wants to chime in, but for us, it's, that's kind of like, it makes sense to us because we're educators and we use all kinds of crazy terms.
I think I think what was throwing me off was the, to provide a language acquisition class to identified EL students. And I guess I was thinking it made more sense to say to identify instead, you don't sense.
No, because the class is only offered to those students who are identified, and that's a set of criteria. We certainly probably could break it into 2 sentences, and then it would make a lot, you know what I mean? So it's not kind of 2 concepts in 1 sentence.
Identified is being used as an adjective, not as a...
Right, but it just took me a little while to get that after. So that was all.
Can I ask,
And the ladies understand.
I know it's hard. We make it difficult. I know, we make it difficult.
It's easier to talk to a doctor.
We apologize.
is this mandatory? Do we have to do this?
Yes, all this is to meet the state requirements.
I totally have a problem with it. I totally do. There's no way to teach AP, AB, calculus in 1 semester.
No.
There is no way. My daughter was a math student, graduated from LSU with a math degree. There's no way to teach that
In 1 semester.
When I told her that, she was like, you got to be kidding me. You can't do it. So God bless them. Good luck.
They did, I'll be honest, the high school committee, which has very good representation on it, looked at every course, and those courses that needed to be paired with a prerequisite course that would be a required course that would highlight and enhance some of the curriculum were put in. So not every AP has like a married course to it, but there are some that they felt the content was such that the students would need some precursor so that they would be successful in the AP course itself. And so they would get an elective credit for, or science credit, or however it's labeled, but they wouldn't get an AP credit for that class, but they would be required to take that class prior to sitting in the AP course. I hope that makes sense. So they get additional, they get the extra semester of prep and preparation to be able to participate.
Can't do anything about it. It's unfortunate.
As I said, it's more that you can't receive 2 AP credits for 1 course. Right. So when you semesterize,
I understand that.
That's
I understand.
the state, you know, how a school system does it. I mean, we could change it and make it a year-long course and have it, you know, be on a split schedule, a 45 minutes a day schedule, or we could do a 90-minute AB day schedule. I mean, there's a lot of ways to attack it. But this was what the high school team felt was.
I understand. I'm worried more about the students learning the content, understanding, than
Successful.
and be successful in their endeavors. That's,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the students. So, anyway, thank you for that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Any other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you. Okay, Ms. Towers, Jane.
Good evening again. Tonight we bring before you for review and information is your monthly expenditure report as of December for each of the categories in the general fund.
Do we have any concerns at all about a couple of these categories that have hit almost 97%, like student health services, transportation at this date?
Yes, we are looking at them closely. Later on this month, we will be bringing some budget adjustments to identify some of the things we're seeing to get us through the end of the year.
Thanks.
And that's normal. It's normal. I ask her it every year too, so.
It is, but the student health services, that can be used from ESNR funds too, right?
Right.
So we're using some of our funds that we could be reimbursed for possibly.
If they qualify for ESSER funds, that is the route that we go. We go with restricted first.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Some of the student supplies that you see is going to be for water in the house suites, epi material, things like that.
And special ed, we are at,
That didn't look,
I didn't.
That's it.
Special education.
Line 6, okay.
Category 6.
I thought that would be a higher number. I'm glad it's not.
So Tammy, you're saying that it's normal that we are at the 90-something% and that we'll do adjustments, and so
We
are just
do.
every year doing adjustments
We
at this
do
time?
in category adjustments and
That much?
out of category adjustments. I mean, Ms. Towers has been excellent in taking care
Oh,
of
no,
that.
I think Ms. Towers is amazing. That's not my point. It just seems like if this is just what we do every year, is
Yes.
every year the
Yes.
same categories are always at this 95%. At
Yes.
this time of the year, maybe we need to look at
Right, and
not having our budget say this the way that it does.
right, and another reason why it could be at that 97 is in addition to the money actually being spent, it's also been encumbered, set
Okay,
aside.
okay, yes. Thanks.
That a clear indication of that is your salaries.
yes, you look at
You just
salaries,
encumber-
96%'s done.
And it's going to be that way all year long because we're making sure that we put that money away so we can pay everybody
Yes,
through the end of the
yes,
year.
yes.
So all this year-to-date is not money spent, it's money
No.
either spent
It's
or
been
allocated.
Allocated.
directly to a certain thing.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And if we have to go out of category, then we talk to the commissioners or send a letter.
Right, well, and, you know, sometimes we have to do, the reason we have an amendment is because we have actuals that come up, which are things that we don't have it, we can't predict, to spend it, you know, like things, a lot of things in facilities that we can't predict, that may.
Like water main breaks.
Yes, or phone
Hey,
systems
Sid.
going down and things like
Although
that.
we still have plenty
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
fund.
Hey,
So
I'm
there's some
praying
things we
God
just
that
can't
happens.
predict.
Okay, not gonna wood.
But we
Thank
do
you.
look at actuals every year and trend data and readjust to try to pinpoint the budget as best as possible. And thank you, Ms. Towers, for all your effort with that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, you're still on.
All right, the next thing we bring before you is the monthly ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 reports. As you can see with ESSER 2, the amount after spent and encumbered is 1.4 million, and under ESSER 3, we're trending at a little over 5.5 out of the total 6.8 million.
And ESSER 2, the deadline for that is next year?
Let's see,
9:30, 23.
23, right?
23.
23, yeah, 9/30,
Okay,
23.
gotcha.
Correct. And at ESER 2, if you can remember, we did a budget amendment on this to really focus on social distancing, things like that. ESER 3, the intent of ESER 3 was to identify the learning loss and things like that. So ESER 3 will go to 9/30/24.
And I'm assuming we're planning on doing summer school again this summer?
Yes, we are.
So that could
Actually,
come out of-
one that will almost mirror exactly with some enhancements to it from last year.
Starting after students to be identified and sent out.
Yes.
And under ESER 3, correct.
Right. Any other questions?
When will we know about that, as far as a budget for that? May, June?
For summer school?
Yes.
It'll be before then. I don't have an exact date, but I know that as I said, it's going to be a mirror almost from last year, so it won't take a lot of effort, I think, to get it. They put so much time and effort last year, they're going to pay, that'll pay off this year.
Yeah.
But the C&I team will get together and start building that. I would say March is probably a good target date for that.
Just asking.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Towers.
Our next thing in front of you, which you'll have things as our 901 now, or 801, sorry, 801.
Are you missing over the break completely, Mr. Smith?
Break, you want a break?
Just asking. It's on the agenda.
We're running this show.
Okay.
Going to
God bless you.
canceling the break. Mike needs to get home. He's been up here 3 times. He's not still late. Human Resource Report. Everybody's had a chance to review that and look at it.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to accept the human resource and substitute bus driver report as presented in closed session?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Ms. Smith?
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Jolene Smith. I'm the Supervisor of Special Education. I bring before you this evening the following item for action. This is a request for approval for tuition payment to the Phillips School in the amount of $35,717.94. This is not a new placement, but a change in placement from one placement to another. It does not create a negative impact on the projected expenditure that was originally proposed in July of the current fiscal year. And then this expense would come from the unrestricted operating budget.
So the previous one was $35,717, and we're just transferring this to another school?
It was a little bit more from one school to this one, so it's actually a decrease. Yes.
So the other one will get, and I'm assuming getting credit for what, since we're not in that school anymore, we just didn't, we get credit for it or hadn't paid it yet or something?
You pay it monthly, so we have not incurred that cost.
Okay. Any further questions?
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the non-public tuition for student attendance at the Phillips School, fiscal impact dollar amount of $35,717.94, budgeted from the FY22 unrestricted operating budget.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you for coming in.
Sid. Mr.
Yes.
Bender.
It's all right. Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members. For the record, Sid Pender, Chief Operating Officer. I'm filling in for Ms. Pullen tonight, who could not be in, was unable to attend, excuse me. Tonight, we're seeking approval of the contract with Horde Copeland and Mott HCM to provide architectural design services for the roof replacement of Ken Island High School. This is necessary documentation information for the roof replacement. They complete pre-design survey, develop drawings, specifications for state submission and approval, technical services through bidding, construction phase of the project. All of these rates are predetermined in an indefinite quantity contract that we did several years ago. So they're already pre-bid and approved on that part. seeking approval to move forward with $45,110 from the FY21 capital budget. And this will probably take about 2 years, not this part, but the actual roof replacement is such a major project at Kent Island High School. It'd probably take 2 years.
So it'll be done pretty much in the summertime?
Yeah, it'll be done in the summer times, yes, sir.
May I ask if we, Ms. Towers, do we have this allocated in the capital budget for 2021?
Yes.
Yeah.
What happens, because we hear of prices escalating, do we have any chance of coming in close to budget? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, you're just fine. At this point, I would probably say no. There's no realistic expectation. I would also say that it may also, it will take 2 years to do in the summertime because you don't want to disrupt the students, but also funding of it from the state, because it's escalated so much, is probably going to take a 2-year process. So they've kind of changed up what they're doing, and you're able to kind of, you know, whatever you don't use, save for the next year to move forward. And that's, so it should work out, you know, to be a 2-year project, and that's probably in our benefit right now of the prices that the rates are everything going.
But doing this right now will hold us, I mean, this will be good for 2 years out to.
Yeah, so,
and stuff like that.
yes, so what we want to do is buy, you know, put it out to bid and have that come in later on in the spring, so we can get those companies lined up now, so when school gets out, we can go ahead and hit it. But that would be locked in at that, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
So did we get 3 different estimates on this?
So this is the IDIQ. So all of the architectural firms about 2 years ago were pre-bid out. So they come in at the rates, and we select 3 groups so we can go with any of them. We've had a lot of success with Hort Copland and Mock. They've done several of our school buildings before, design.
Any other questions?
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the contract with Hort Copland Mock to provide architectural design services for the roof replacement at Kent Island High School? Fiscal impact dollar amount of $45,110. Budget source FY 2021 capital.
Second?
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, Mr. Pinder, is a bus.
Yes, seeking approval tonight for Mr. Aaron Mitchie of the Northern County Exchange LLC to purchase a used bus for the 2021-22 school year as an unpaid spare. There is no cost associated with a PVA or anything like that. It's not uncommon for each LLC to have several spares just in case one breaks down, then the other contractors will rent that bus from them. There's no cost associated with this except for, you know, it does go on our insurance, but other than that, there's no PVA or any of that allocated to that. It's just kind of a standard procedure to have you approve that.
And this is a 2009 bus, so it's 11 years old, 12 years old.
It'll get about 3 more years
3 more
out of
years
it
out of
until
it.
they get to the 15-year mark.
Okay. Any further?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion?
Sir, may I make a motion to approve Mr. Aaron Michi of the Northern County Exchange to purchase a used bus for the 2021-2020 school year to be used as an unpaid spare, no budget implications.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're running down to the end. Now we have the new thing, our CTE. Mike, I've seen you before.
I think the supervisor tagged you with it tonight. I know.
Hello again.
How you doing?
I'm here on behalf of Mr. Adam Tolley, who was not able to be here today. So I'm bringing forward for your approval the technology, from the technology education category, the computer science discovery. Just a little bit of background in regards to this. Traditionally, all CTE pathways in Maryland were required to have 4 courses with at least 4 credits. Last year, MSDE relaxed this requirement for selecting pathways, including the computer science. Therefore, a formal request was sent to MSDE to amend the computer science pathway from 4 to 3 courses, eliminating the final course. As a result, an opening was created for our instructions to teach an additional course. The CTE supervisor collaborated with the instructors at both high schools to create the computer science discovery course, which will fulfill the technology education graduation requirement. And then there should be a brief description of what that course entails.
Does anybody have any questions on this?
No. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the new course, Computer Science Discoveries, fiscal impact, dollar amount, none?
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page.
Thank you for everything you've done tonight.
Appreciate you, sir.
No citizen? Yeah, we have none of that. Okay, our future meetings, next Wednesday, we will have a budget workshop. I think that's starting at 4:30.
Yes, sir.
Then we will have a work session on the 19th. That'd be a regular work session. And then our next board meeting will be February the 2nd of this year. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for the evening.